Scott Talley here again with Network in Action, and this morning we have the world's greatest Goosehead agent, Goosehead Insurance, Mr. Jesse Wilson, a good friend of mine who's become a friend here in the last few months. I've been friends with his future mother-in-law. So Jesse's got all kind of things going on during this COVID-19, including a postponed wedding, right, Jesse?
Hey everybody, thank you for having me today. I appreciate it, Scott. I'm with Goosehead Insurance, an excellent company. I'm really excited to be here.
So Jesse, your wedding got postponed, right?
Yeah, my wedding was postponed. To be honest, though, we were kind of happy because we get more planning, right?
And that kilt you're going to wear is not going to go to, the kilts are ageless, so you don't have to worry about that.
Well, that's the whole thing. Is it was delayed by the mills were shut down in Scotland.
Oh.
That was a big factor. So.
Oh, wow. So what's going on with Goosehead? What would you say to people listening today around their insurance during this time?
So the biggest thing with Goosehead right now is we're remote. We're not going to make you come in, number one. So we can work with you, and we can shop over 30 different carriers. So the biggest thing about the market is a lot of times you go to a captive carrier and they can only shop one market for you. And in Houston, we all know with flooding and all the complications over the last few years, especially with Hurricane Harvey, the Milda flooding, all of those different named storms, there's a lot of issues with insurance writing in different areas. The big thing right now is that everybody knows is they are remapping Houston again because of the flooding. So we're facing a time where you might not be in a flood zone now, but you might be in a month.
Wow. So what that really means to the listening audience is now's the time to check, or it's time to be in touch with your agent and find out. We all have a little extra time on our hands, most all of us during this time. And I know personally speaking, I recently changed my insurance to Jesse, and he saved me money on my cars for sure. And then there wasn't a savings of money necessarily on my home insurance, but when I compared the side-by-side policy, it was certainly discounted. The coverage I got was so superior to what I had. I won't go into the reasons or what changed, but people really need to look at their insurance policy, their homeowner's insurance, right? What are 2 or 3 things you usually point out to people under, insurance that they're currently covering? Maybe they haven't looked at it in 6, 8, 10 years. I know in my case, I hadn't seen, my insurance broker sold his business 5 years ago when I talked to you. So I'd had somebody I didn't even know for 5 years when you approached me, and the stuff you showed me in there was mind-boggling.
So a huge thing that I like to talk about with everybody is, there's a big factor in how things are rated. So there's a lot of carriers out there, I'm not going to name names, but they have what they call a named policy. So it's only going to cover a certain scenario. We shop with A-rated carriers that will cover almost all your scenarios. It's like limiting you on coverage. A huge thing would be water coverages. A lot of people don't know that if a pipe breaks in their foundation of their house, it's not covered in a lot of these policies. If you have a slow leak in your wall from your AC unit and it's over 14 days, it's not covered by some of these policies. Those are big things we look at because water is a huge thing in Texas with our humidity and our weather. So make sure you're covered in all your water damages. Let me help you.
Yeah. You almost need to have a legal degree to go through some of these policies, but besides those 2 examples you gave, sometimes people use their homes for short-term rentals. Talk about a little bit about the rider, what you need on that. What could be the liability?
So there's a big thing with liability in the marketplace. And if someone comes to your house, let's say this is an example, someone comes to your house and like a pizza delivery person, and they come in, they deliver you pizza, and then they go and they slip and they fall on your step and they break their wrists. They can sue you for that.
Wow.
People don't know that.
That becomes an expensive pizza.
Right, exactly. So that's $250,000 pizza, right? So imagine if someone is staying at your house for Airbnb or you're using it as a short-term rental. Imagine the liability that comes at you. And a big factor in covering you is umbrella coverage. So umbrella coverage is going to extend you up past $1 million in coverage to protect you in that scenario. Nobody wants to be sued. No one wants to experience a lawsuit, but it's better to be prepared for $20 to $30 a month than have to worry about it.
Yeah. So in some ways, I wonder, again, without naming names, how some insurance carriers sort of survive. I mean, you think about it, if I go to some of those traditional brand names that are so well marketed, they only have one product to sell me, and they're sort of going to put a square peg in a round hole. Whereas if I go to a Goosehead agent, you're going to shop me across 20 or 30 other different carriers. Is that correct?
Yeah, 100%. We're going to look at the full market share. We're not going to limit down to one thing, which is a big, huge factor in our success, especially with the diversity of just the landscape in Houston.
You know, and it's gotten so complicated that I would suggest that it's not unlike if you're going to sign a big lease or buy a piece of property, you know, you engage the services of an attorney to look at that. If you're a business owner, you get a CPA or a bookkeeper, and they usually save you money on your taxes and help you get in line. And insurance is somewhat the same way. What do you charge to review my policy?
So here's the thing. It's free to do a review. It's free to look at a quote. It doesn't cost you anything but a little bit of time. Now we have a lot of time.
And how many times would you say out of 10, if you're looking at a policy that you're not able to provide a potential customer either a savings or a better policy? How often would you say it happens honestly?
50-50.
50. So 50% of the time you can help our audience when cash flow is so important. So I want to really encourage our audience to take a minute, pull your policy out. If you've got a scanner, you can send it over to Jesse and let him take a look at it. Just like anything professionally done, you're going to have better eyes on it and a better idea of what you got. In worst case scenario, you understand your coverage a little better, right? How do they reach you, Jesse? By email and phone?
So you can reach me by email at Jesse, jesse.wilson@goosehead.com. And then also by phone, it's pretty simple, 281-667-4690.
That was 4690. That phone number one more time, Jesse.
Yeah, 281-667-4690.
Great. So if you've got a little bit of time on your hands, I'd really encourage you to take a minute. If you're like me, it was, again, I did business with somebody that I liked and trusted, and come to find out he sold the practice 5 years ago. I had been spending a bunch of money on a poor policy that wasn't taking care of me and my family and my property, and Jesse took care of that. So glad to have you as one of my referral partners, as in a friend, and best of luck in your marriage whenever that does happen, Jesse, and thanks for your help with my insurance.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you.
Okay, have a good day.